You are watching
Rarely Reserved,
a podcast about things and stuff and games.
I am Charles, also known as Omnis.
And I am just Sin today.
Just Sin. Yeah. We're recording early during the daylight.
Daylight.
I didn't even know you were allowed to go outside.
It's less of an allowed thing and more of a just actively choose not to thing.
Oh yeah, I feel that. But I mean, I'm surprised that I'm this awake, but I had half a Mountain Dew, so I'm doing okay. This is funny. This is right about when my work day would start. But to all of you, we wanted to make sure you had stuff for your flights to Adepticon and for those sitting at home, so you're not missing out. And as long as I don't get sick, we won't miss an episode.
Yeah. So
I'm just hoping I don't come back with COVID or something.
Well, if you have COVID, we'll figure out how to have me solo a week.
Yeah.
Also,
I will hit record buttons and you get and you will just take listener questions or something.
If you underestimate my ability to talk for an hour,
I'm not underestimating it at all. I've met you before. But yeah, I was glad. Positive feedback to the last episode, right? Like Poos was loved our manipulating new people into loving the game.
Yeah, carefully orchestrating adoration.
Yeah, carefully making sure people love the things that we love.
Yeah.
I had forgot to mention it in the last episode because I was thinking about the person that I kind of like emulate in my demos, which is this guy Daryl, he was kind of the minis guy at Uncle's Games when I first started like getting back into Magic and was like showing up to the store. And he was actually running like these little D&D minis tournaments.
That's fun.
And I remember getting off work one day, it was like showing up to like trade Magic cards and like seeing like the colossal red dragon had come in, and so he had picked it up, and like the event was everyone takes turns playing against him, trying to see how close they can get to killing the red dragon.
Oh.
And whoever deals the most damage wins, because nobody was able to kill it. But that was the moment that I was like, maybe I should play miniatures games.
Nice.
It brought back D&D. I forget, did you do D&D first or miniatures games first?
D&D first, yeah.
Did that help you into the like, yes, I want to minis games?
In the sense that it put me in the same physical spaces as minis games. I don't know if it actually helped, if it translated that well into actually playing them. So there's D&D is like a collaborative.
Yes.
Very together against the one thing. And then minis gaming is rarely that form of collaborative. It's the form of collaborative where we both agree to the rules and we both agree blah, 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 but not collaborative in that they help you.
Yeah. I do think that one of the things that like helped me get into it was the fact that it was D&D minis, and I felt like I was seeing my D&D games come to life to a certain extent. Like that, even though like D&D is a weird IP, because it wasn't like was playing Driss Do'Urden or anything, but it was seeing a shadow dragon on the table and seeing some of these like at least monsters and stuff that were so iconic. But good God, do D&D minis have awful rules?
I can't imagine.
It tried too much to be D&D.
Oh. That makes sense.
And so it was really overly complicated for a miniatures game. But anyway, I wanted to shout out Daryl because he really, in my mind, was sort of the perfect game store employee. Which I probably could track him down, but it's not like I'm speaking to him regularly or I know that he listens to shout him out. But he was just always so passionate, always bringing him into the miniatures games. He was a very enthusiastic demoer, and just like the way he was growing the communities and such, I thought just really stood out to me. And he was kind of the person that I emulated when I really started doing demos, because I taught Magic a little bit, but not once I was getting into the miniatures games. You kind of have to like grow your own community, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't just rely on other people. So I definitely emulated him. I wasn't sure if you had anyone that you emulate in or you learned demoing or anything like that from.
I mean, I'm not totally sure I'm trying to be anyone in particular or following in anyone in particular stuff. I mean, I've learned stuff from you and I've learned stuff from other people who've done demos. I don't know that I have a specific role model. I don't want to say I've learned what not to do from people, but maybe a little bit.
That's how I feel about tournament organization. I feel like there's very few people that I learned very specifically like, oh, this is how to run a good event. It was more of attend stuff and you're like, I am not going to let that happen.
I'm going to learn from, these mistakes. I think honestly the people that I learn more from about doing demos are people who have shown me how to play TTRPGs. Yeah. Weirdly enough, it's still a demo, even if it's something different, but kind of the same. Like showing someone how to do something and trying to get them engaged is kind of the same rhythm, no matter what you're showing them how to do.
I didn't think about it until you just said it, but being a good DM is probably not that dissimilar from being a good TO. Right? When you think about the things, like, it's still nerd wrangling.
Yeah.
Right? It's just nerd wrangling where you're like, if your DM has control of the situation and people are showing up on time and they're paying, like, ready to go on time, and you keep things like on schedule, that's a trait that you want in a TO and in a DM, or like whoever's organizing the game, right? If you're there and like everybody's shown up and there's kind of like there's some levels of guidelines where you're like, we're not waiting for an hour for Bob. Like, if you want to be in the game, you make this a priority. And at the same time is prepared and wants to make it a good experience for everyone who's involved. Like, the traits are actually extremely similar now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, the amount of organization, like everyone else just shows up.
Yeah.
And
DM also brings the terrain, and
that's true. Usually has the location on log, everything. It's No, you're absolutely right. And now having, been a DM or GM, whatever, for a long time, and now that I do tournaments at the store, very much the same thing. Okay.
I want to ask you about that. So before you took the job at Laughing Dragon, had you actually run a gaming event? Like, I know you had like DM'd games, but had you like run a tournament yet?
Not a like full day tournament, but I had organized like leagues.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you like it? Are you like, ooh, I love running tournaments, or you're like, nerd wrangling is a very like, it's different than your sort of normal cowboy wrangling stuff?
I would say nerds and cows are equally obstinate, so I was ready. But I get away with it at tournaments at the store because I am usually the organizer, but there is a judge.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing both. Trying to do both, I have figured out, sucks. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend.
Just thinking, I'm not sure if I've ever run a tournament where I'm not also the judge.
Yeah, no, I don't want to. No, I learned very quickly. Don't want to do that. So I'd say I have it pretty easy in that I'm not also judging. So like the most frequent tournament we do is a 40K tournament. Shout out to Nick. He's the judge, and he does the hard part, which is, I make pairings, I set the day, I make sure everything's aligned, and then the judge is like, calling the shots, he picks the missions, the train layouts, blah, blah, blah. So like, I just have to make sure the ducks are there, and then he puts them in a row.
Yes. I remember a lot of War Machine events where, because there just wasn't perfect software at the time, I did a lot of pairings by hand, where everyone turned in like their army sheets, and I just paired based on their army sheets and randomized into the Swiss bracket.
I think I told you about this, but it's funny still. Once, for one event that I ran, it was a random allied duo.
Yeah.
So each time you got a new partner, and I wanted each time for you to face new people, because there was enough people to support that for a 3-round event. And I realized that organizing that by hand would actually be really annoying because then I have to like cross-reference over and over again. Did these two people play together? Did this person play those three people? Annoying. So I messaged my husband, who is a programmer, and I was like, how would you do this? And he just wrote a script and I just put all the names in and it programmed all 3 rounds of pairing, so I didn't have to do anything. Well, I still had to organize everyone, but like it was perfectly aligned. No one had the same partner or played against the same person at all. And that's the most by hand I've ever done pairings. Everything else has been either with BCP or melee or longshanks or whatever.
Yeah, I remember there was some challenges in like round 4 where you'd have people, you're like, I can't just pair all the 2-in-1s against each other because there's 2-in-1s that have played each other.
Yep.
And so managing that was always just like a slight touch more complicated. But
I have a lot of like, especially for card games and not minis games, a lot of tournaments where people who know each other show up together in little groups. And then the cognitive load of every round, I don't manipulate pairings, but I will try to make sure that people who come together don't get paired together. And man, trying to remember all of that. The worst part about being a TO, I think, or the one that I run into the most regularly, whoever you give the buy to is really mad at you. And you just, look, someone gets the buy. I never manipulate the buy. It's like whoever the computer deems the buy to. Okay, that's not true. One time I manipulated the buy, and it was because an 8-year-old showed up to play the Gundam TCG, and I didn't want to give the 8-year-old the buy. But that's the only time.
Man, I can't think of any time where I felt like the buy was like really annoyed. Like I maybe it's just because like I've come from gaming groups that kind of get it, that there's just somebody's going to get the buy, and they like kind of get that in advance where there's not as many like new people, like there's just but I have absolutely like, obviously if someone's like running behind, I'm like, you're going to fucking get the buy because we're starting on time.
Honestly, I will amend. Minis people are rarely, if ever, mad at me about the buy. Especially because at our minis tournaments, the judge will play the buy. Like you get the win, whatever, but he brings an army and you get a casual game in. Because sitting for a 3-hour 40k round with nothing to do.
Yeah, I can imagine that's harder.
Awful.
Yeah.
But we have some tournaments that are like, they're card game tournaments, but they're like really competitive and they have really good payouts.
Yeah.
And I started to run into an issue where people would intentionally show up as late as possible, hoping that I would give them the buy so that they would get the free win. So I had to start enacting, if you were more than like 5 minutes late, you took a loss instead of a buy. And then people are really mad about that. But I'm like, you basically no call, no show.
Yeah, it doesn't really surprise me that Magic the Gathering players would try to game the buy system. Like that actually seems like the most MTG, like... It's
not just them. It's every TCG. And I'm like, wow, I cannot imagine... I don't know. I'm just not that conniving, I guess. Or like, Warhammer and every minis tournament rarely has a cash prize payout.
Yes, yeah.
So like, there's nothing but like pride involved.
Right.
And so like maybe if I was competing for a lot of money, then I'd be like
more likely to
evil things, but
okay, well let's hit that topic for just a second. Cash
evil?
Prize.
Oh.
You want to just talk about evil?
I don't know why I thought that would be the topic. Cash prizing. Much more sensible.
I mean, money is the root of all evil.
That's true. Right? So we're talking about the same thing, really.
Yeah. So, okay, you were just a step ahead of me. Because there was a post recently, I forget who posted it, but they were talking about a potential like Star Wars minis like GT that had like really significant cash prizes, but it was going to be like a $75 buy-in. And so it brought up a lot of conversation about whether you want this. And this came up back for us in the War Machine days where, War Machine was getting very competitive. Mm-hmm. At that point when I was playing it, it was obviously not 40K levels, but War Machine was like the clear second largest miniatures game. And it was very competitively driven. You would have hundreds of people playing it at every big convention. And there was always like a lot of people who could make masters. And there was some discussion about cash prizes like MTG and like making teams and stuff, and like we were kind of like right on the cusp of some of this early like recording matches and stuff like that. But there was obviously a lot of pushback on cash prizes. Do you have thoughts there?
Maybe they're a little complex thoughts. Is
it too early in the morning for these thoughts?
It's more like, now that I've been around a lot of tournaments that have varying degrees of cash pricing, from like $35 if you 3-0 to $35,000 if you win the whole event. It adds something to it that is, well, on one hand, excitement.
Yes. Yeah.
And on the other hand, makes people way more adversarial.
Fair.
And so I don't know that I would love that. And the tournaments that I run, the 40K tournaments that I run, first and second get like $75, whatever.
Yeah.
And people are usually pretty chill and happy about that. I don't know that if I went over that, I would be adding anything positive to the event, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that, I mean, obviously we got to support the store, but I think you want to create the barrier to entry in the event as small as possible.
Yeah.
Right. I have won a lot of tournaments in my time, and I'm not saying it in a bragging way, but it was like, there was a point in War Machine and in like Star Wars minis where like I was doing a shit ton of tournaments and I won the vast majority of them.
I brag about you. Do you know that?
I'm not sure how to respond to that.
Okay. When I talk about you, I'm like,
okay,
hey,
we'll come back to the bragging about Omnis. But the point is like, I was gonna come to play whether there was a gift card at the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I wanted to play these games. That was the core. Like, yes, it's cool to have something on the line. And I do think having something on the line is really useful because it keeps people motivated. The thing when I'm like at my most competitive is that I want my opponent to be giving their all. And this was one of my problems with the casual nights for, say, War Machine, was that when I'm like, I really want to test this list to the fullest, and I want someone who's like not going to give up. And when I'm playing, I'm like, I can tell you've already given up, right?
Throw
like,
in the towel.
You know, that you're not trying to play this, play this out. And there was a lot of tournament, like went through this whole series of tournaments where almost every event, there was a game where I like almost lost. And, every time I'm playing against someone who hasn't beaten me in a tournament yet, and I can see it on their faces that they're like, this is the one. I'm going to get Omnis today.
Yeah.
And then I miraculously pull it out somehow because I just don't give up and like fight to the end, and I find an out. And then and that happened. That happened quite a bit. And like, that was the thing that I wanted. And I find that when there is something on the line, it doesn't have to be much, just a little something. And it drives people to play a little bit harder. But I would absolutely be worried that like big cash prizes, could, shift people, towards the like not being fun to play against. Not being fun to play against.
It somewhat starts to incentivize a little bit of dishonesty, which I don't love. But like, I think that pricing doesn't necessarily need to be like monetary to make people thrilled about it. Because for the last few tournaments that I've done, I decided to like follow in your footsteps from what you did for your tournaments, which is make physical trophies.
Yeah.
And
which looks, I realized how I was saying it. I was going to sound like I was talking about mine looking so cool, which they did.
They did.
But I thought yours looked really cool too.
Yeah. They were fun to make. And I did put some TLC into them, but I didn't realize how well received they were until the end when, like, again, our first, second place, and best painted all get like $75, but this time they all got like one of the little trophies.
Yeah.
They were so thrilled about the trophies that all of them forgot to ask about the money.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I mean, that it wasn't until the event ended and they went home that I was like, oh my God, I forgot to give them money. And so I had to DM them all. But like, minis players, like, and players in general, like it's not enough money unless you're hitting the thousands and thousands of dollars to like think about it too much beyond, oh, that's nice, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a fun bonus. So like you can get a minis player out of bed for a trophy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely traveled for events and was like, oh, I end up with a $40 gift card, $50 gift card or whatever. Then I try to spend like $80 in the store. So they were getting something on top of that as well, was usually the goal, and like pick up whatever other boxes or something that I wanted, or more paints or whatever. And that's always nice. But I will say, like, of the events where I've like, there's been multiple times where I've gotten like a really key third place at events where, and every time when I realized that I got third and I was actually getting a trophy or a plaque, like, it felt really good.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and probably the biggest one was like the War Machine, like, World Team Championship when we went, because we were like, we were 4-0 in a 6-round event, and we're like, oh my God, it could happen.
Yeah.
And then we lost to the team that had won the year prior in the 5th round. And so there wasn't really any conversation of like, oh, maybe we'll get third.
What happened?
But yeah, like when it was like, and, you know, I forget what our Team America Stripes or whatever we were called. We were one, just the 2 American teams had kind of generic names, but America got first, Poland got second, and then we got third. I remember just being so fucking happy that we were still coming back with a trophy, and I still like have it on my shelf, even though I've broken it like 14 times. And that's the thing that was like, I would much rather have that, just some, maybe a sentimentality, but like, I don't remember which box of minis I got after an event, right? Like, I never think about that, but I will definitely fondly look back on like a random trophy or something and be like, man, that event was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Or that thing, just like, it brings the memories back, which is, I think, the coolest thing that you can give to, you know, someone like Shatterpoint, right? I love the surfing Darth Vader trophy. Which, by the way, as I was reorganizing my shelf, I was trying to be very careful to not drop it. Then I basically knock over my Boba Fett ship, try to catch it, but in the process, like, knock Vader, because I'm holding it and trying to catch this other thing, and I end up like knocking Vader off and like breaking his hand, and like multiple fingers broke off. So I'm like trying to find these little tiny fingers on the ground and reattach them. And I still it might be a project for us one day where I'm like, he's still missing a finger. Let's make a finger and try to match this gold. And
I don't think you need me for that. I've seen your green stuff work. You're solid. I don't...
But
I will help you.
Yeah. But it's still like that looking at that trophy brings back the memories of like, that was when I first met Pure, right? That was when I first met Josh, like, in person. First met Brady, first met Matt Booker. You know, there's a bunch of people at that event that I met for the first time, and it is like, that stuff is way more valuable, I think, than a cash prize. Yeah,
like, who, again, unless it's like crazy money, I don't know. I would definitely much rather have something that I can physically hold on to, and like, you can make your own memorabilia, but that's not the same as like getting something as like physical, like, you did this is your thing that we're giving to you, you won it. Like, that is there's a reason why sporting events have physical trophies. Like, they could just give them infinite money, but, well, they do, but like, they get a big thing, you know. And people like visual reminders of their hard work.
This just gave me a weird idea. Let me see what you think of it.
Okay.
What if, so totally hypothetically, that, okay, going to Shatterpoint event X, whatever it is, and I decide to specifically paint a team for it, and then afterwards make some sort of diorama for the team that I played at that event. and then but that like becomes a display piece and like redo the models for but like have some where you're like obviously you wouldn't do it for like every event, right? But maybe, you know, Adepticon's right around the corner. Like hypothetically doing like I painted these models specifically for this event and then I've like kept them as that exact team that I played there, because that could be an interesting way that like even if you don't come back with a trophy, where you could still grab some of that sentimentality where like this was the team for this specific event that I was excited to play and painted for Adepticon, especially if you put any sort of spin on it. Like the World Team Champion stuff for miniatures, there would always be someone on the team who worked the American flag into the paint scheme somewhere, you know, whether it's on a cape or like there was a year where there's these like giant winged monsters and stuff and had like the American flag like across the wings, you know, something that was like the theme for the event, right? If you're doing Adepticon, or you imagine doing like Vegas basing for like an LVO, maybe do like, maybe give it a Fallout vibe, like Fallout Vegas.
I think if I was going to do that idea and like I want an event and I wanted to commemorate the team, I would actually take one of the, either one character from it or like the squad or something that was the MVP, and then make like just a black box and then put them in the black box with like the way that you retire a jersey from a player.
Okay.
And like retired and then have like their win record underneath it and then the name of the event. Like,
okay, that would be, I like that. That's pretty cool.
It's also low effort. You don't have to make it down. Maybe that's just me being lazy.
Yeah. That's because you have no time for anything right now.
No, that's true.
Okay, well, I want to swing back. What do you mean you brag about me?
Oh, well, I mean, like, I have an extremely big, full life outside of Shatterpoint, so I talk to a lot of people who have never conceptualized you at all, and they're like, what do you... Like, how do you describe, like, how do I describe you? And like, I very brag about you. I'm like, my friend Omnis says, like, when I kind of describe your, like, you know, career with gaming and career with podcasting and like you've won a lot of events and you're like I brag about you, and also like your like good qualities, like your character as a person. So like, I think anyone who knows you through me thinks very highly of you because I think very highly of you. And I think I've spoken about you more lately because I've been hyping for doing a demo for you, and there's been a little bit of nervousness there and like having some performance anxiety. Yeah. I'm like,
yeah, well, like I remember, because I came into Laughing Dragon to pick up stuff, and you had one of the fairly new employees, right? Yeah. More. And Moore was like, oh, yeah. She's talked about you a bunch.
Yep.
And I was like, I mean, I definitely don't mind the aspect of going into a game store that I've barely been in and people have heard stories like Desperado, right? Like this might be, I don't know if that's too old of a reference for you, but the story of the mariachi who shows up with the guitar case full of guns,
No, like they
I'll be that guy for you.
Yeah. No, they've definitely heard about you, and everyone is waiting to hear about the demo because I've been anxiously talking about it. So,
So what we're hypothetically talking about is because I had gotten Sin into Shatterpoint. I actually discussed podcasting before you had played Shatterpoint.
Yes.
And you got into it all the way. Yeah. And we'd been talking about how I missed having a fantasy game. And so I was trying to give the same respect to trying Age of Sigmar. So I had been painting like the Spearhead, which is like their small scale, to try out. And I believe that's something we are going to, barring craziness, there's going to be a demo this evening.
Yes.
And we'll learn a game, which I'm like, I was just talking about it in the MCP cast that I recorded last night, where Adepticon is kind of special in a sense that it is a painted required event. There's no gray plastic really that you see besides at the shops, right?
Yeah.
But I've never known anything about anything in the Warhammer universe, right? Yeah. And obviously, the Shatterpoint is not at a point where people have like there's definitely been some cool displays for Shatterpoint. So don't get me wrong, there's been a few, but it's not on the same level where they have like a fucking parade of painted Warhammer stuff. And so with this like very tiny drop of information that I have about Warhammer now, where I'm at least a little excited to see some of like the massive armies that's like the faction that I picked out and like see how people put some of this stuff together and stuff when
it's very cool.
So I've just got like a little bit of excitement about like, ooh, maybe I will actually like walk by the Golden Demon case or something and I will know what a model is.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm jealous. I think that's gonna be really cool. I thought viewing those models in person and seeing the new stuff. You have to send me like pictures and whatnot. But
if I go by the Golden Demon competition case and I see any of your flesh order quartz,
flesh eater
quartz. So I am such a Warhammer noob. You have to. But if I see anything in the Golden Demon case at Adepticon,
yes, please.
But yeah, okay. Well, I'm totally fine with being bragged about the ominous stories.
You have been ominous because because we're talking about demos, like I've only ever done mini game demos for people who are brand new to minis games. Well, that's not entirely true. 90% of them. Like I've done some for people who have middling experience, but I've never done a demo for someone who out-knowledges me in minis world. And obviously you far out-knowledge me in minis world. So I'm like, I feel like a freshman who's like going to their college professor and be like, I'm going to show you this thing. And like,
I have this new theory. Have you ever heard of
theory? Yeah, it feels very much like that. But like, for the first time doing a demo, I'm genuinely worried about the rule set. Like usually I'm like, I know the basics and that's all you need to know to like kind of show someone the game. Now I'm like, first of all, haven't played it in a while just because all the things we've already discussed. And so I'm like, cool, I need to do a good demo for a game I haven't played in a while to a person who knows everything. And like, so I'm like, I need to
I have watched at least like a little bit of I watched one game on YouTube, which was like a fairly high quality. I don't think it was a full-sized game, but I don't think it was a spearhead either. But like, so like I got like the basics there, and then I've watched like here are the basics where like, so like I feel like I'm gonna like get the gist. Where you might get intimidated is like I'm probably gonna ask relatively complicated questions early on,
and I know next to nothing about how your faction plays because it like I think I was telling you, I was like, there's a reason I don't play LRL despite really liking the models. And it's because they're one of the more complicated ones to play. And I'm like, not that Flesh Eater Courts aren't complicated. I don't know how to describe this. Flesh Eater Courts are a finesse army, but that's how you play them versus LRL are also a finesse army, but like, you have to finesse. It's not like there's degrees of it. It's like if you either get it and you do it well or it all falls apart real fast.
I mean, I definitely chose when I heard like what they kind of do and like I understood that it was complicated when I picked it and I knew that I would enjoy it. And I'm also willing to like, I get when you're playing something complicated, like my War Machine army was a very like guerrilla tactics, mobile, scalpeling things out, but you had to be very precise with your positioning. You had to be very precise with your ranges. You were walking a very fine line of being like, I'm close enough to kill key things of yours while then getting to safety somewhere else and walking some very fine lines where when you're like walking it seems really powerful. But as soon as you mess any of it up,
it's a lot. Yeah. But so like there's layers to this because like usually I'm doing a demo, like the person has A, no knowledge and B, no investment. So it's like I try the demo and they're like, not for me. Okay, whatever. Nothing, there's been no real net loss here. But like you know things, you've invested time and effort into this, and it's something I really want you to like. So I'm like,
We get back to the show next week. So this demo is fucking awful.
Yeah, if we don't mention it at all next week and I'm kind of slumped over like this, we will know exactly what happened.
She just has like a bottle of vodka on camera, just like,
I'm a whiskey person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just straight. Yeah, no, there's, I really hope that doesn't happen, but you know, it'll only crush me entirely for like a week. I'm not gonna get over it.
Well, I'll be gone for that time period.
Oh, perfect. It lines up great.
Yeah. I still remember my Shatterpoint demo because we were like kind of it was me and Danny from Move Throw.
Yes.
We were getting a Shatterpoint demo together because he got up early enough to actually get us tickets for it. God bless his fucking soul. Because
the best.
Yeah. But we got through the demo and they're like, any questions? We're like, we're going to fucking see an Asajj Ventress activation. Like, I want to see what this chick does.
Yeah.
Because they had like very like choreographed. Like, it was very like, this is what you cover. This is what we want you to get in the time period.
Yeah.
And then, when we got through it, I was like, if we've got another minute, I want a minute of Asajj Ventress.
That's awesome. Yeah. Which is a little bit what I might be worried about is like, if you have questions about your units, I'm gonna be like, cool, let's read the card together because I don't. But I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, and like I'm thinking about going on a little bit of a journey of just like trying a lot of things.
Yes.
We've got some. I don't want to call anyone out because I think stuff is still a secret, but I know there's some friends who are getting into the StarCraft miniatures game.
Yes.
And, there's been people dabbling in Legion and, like War Machine is on the rise again. And I think I've talked about this before, but like whenever I talk to like, this happens at like LVO and such, if I'm talking to like an MCP player or a Legion player who hasn't played Shatterpoint or they only casually know about it, the way they talk about Shatterpoint drives me fucking nuts. Where I'm like, you sound like you have no idea what you're talking about because you haven't really played it.
Yeah.
And the same can apply, like, a lot of time when I see Shatterpoint people talking about MCP. Also, I'm like, I don't think you, like, really understand it either.
Yeah. I think something that more of us need to understand, I've been guilty of this.
Yeah.
The way that we as players talk about other games and rule sets reflects on us and our game. And, like, if we're just, like, as on the receiving end of things, when people have like said negative stuff about Shatterpoint, and we're like, I think they're trying to hype up their own game. It has the opposite effect. And I'm like, okay, you just spent 10 minutes crapping all over my favorite game, and then you're trying to pitch me on yours. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you anymore, and I don't want to play your little game either. So like, I think we might all have to remember that, like, even if you think you're just making a comparison, the tone matters a lot. And because like I don't even remember who, like, I can't even name names if I wanted to, but I got turned off of Legion because of that, of Legion people being like, oh, well, again, don't think it was intentional, but crapping on Shatterpoint, trying to make Legion sound cooler. And so I'm like, cool, I'm not going to play that game.
I definitely like, I think if you were like, and maybe this still applies to something like 40K and Magic the Gathering, but when you're like the biggest, you don't really need to like kick on the lower ones. You're like, most people play our game. Like, it doesn't matter. But I think once you're not the biggest game, then there's this like constant effort to try to like make your game sound as good as possible. And like one of the easiest thing, like I see it in the YouTube videos, people are way more likely to comment negatively about something that was done wrong, or something that was quoted wrong, or you described a rule wrong, or something. People are way more likely to correct you than like say something positive about what you're doing. Yeah. And I think when you're trying to pitch someone a game, it is very easy to be like, well, it doesn't make the mistake that this game makes, right? And that's something that I've been trying to like walk a fine line with, because I'm playing MCP and I'm playing Shatterpoint, and I like both of them for different reasons, and they do have different advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah,
but can't like how to talk about those things without like really disparaging either one or trying to be like something is just clearly better. Because I've been watching a lot of stuff, and we kind of had a topic for this episode, which I don't think we're going to get to, just because. But I've been thinking a lot about our relationship with randomness in games and what we want out of it, and like, and also that I think. So I've been a miniatures gamer for like 20 years, and I've been a podcaster for 15. And I feel like I'm at a point now where I might maybe be understanding the actual relationship that I want to have with randomness. And that blows my mind, because I was like, I thought I kind of got it. And the more I'm thinking about it now is like, there's just elements to how you want it in your game and where you want it, right? Like, for instance, we're about to play Age of Sigmar. I am a little nervous about the randomly determining who goes first.
Yes.
Right? Like, and like, I'm not going to get into like how they manage that, but this was also a thing. There was a game that I took a demo for, and they kind of do it they don't really straight up randomly determine who goes next, but there is a random element to who gets to go last. And so in my demo, the person got to go first, they got to go last, and because they got to go last and I didn't get to go last, they activated enough of their stuff that they got bonuses that I didn't get. And like, maybe that averages out over the whole game, but like, that was a really negative feeling.
Yeah.
And so like, just how we want that randomness in our game. And like, that's part of why I love Shatterpoint so much, is like, I enjoy the randomness of the order deck and how it changes up the game. And I enjoy the degree of randomness that the dice have. And that's kind of perfect. But then there are some things like with the missions where maybe it pushes it slightly too far. You know, obviously people complain about the priority roll, and like just the differences from one mission to the next. But so the topic, we will get to the full topic at some point, but the topic was going to be what part of the skill in the game is memorization and what part of the skill in the game is decision making. And even though I'm good at memorizing stuff, I like when it's decision making. And so I love playing shifting priorities, because when you're like, as soon as I'm activating, I'm like, which direction do I want to go? But when I play Never Tell Me the Odds, it's like, well, I only have one direction to go. So there's less decision making, and there's more just like memorization of what's the best play here. And so, and I just think every game plays around with its randomness elements a little bit differently.
Yeah, definitely. I love a lot of randomness as long as it's not gambling. If that makes sense.
Elaborate.
Like randomness in... So there's a lot of randomness and a lot of different types of gambling, and like rolling dice. You don't know what you're going to do. You're like, I'm betting on this. I'm gambling. That level of randomness I don't love, because it's just probability and making a bet on that. I don't get a lot out of that, a lot of enjoyment out of that, because it's just like, die roll, okay. But randomness, more like the order deck, which is, I guess, a little bit gambling, because you can be like, oh, who did I turn? Maybe it's probably this character. But when
you decide if you want to reserve a character, you're like, as long as I don't get, Stormtrooper Sergeant here, I think I win the struggle. Yeah,
so that's a little bit of gambling. But like in general, the order deck is just a layer of randomness, and the priority roll is layer of randomness. What card comes up next in the flip, like they're layers of randomness. And I think that the more things get thrown in that just change the rhythm of the game, that stuff I like, where it's like, this won't follow a pattern because the game is set up to force it not to follow a pattern.
Right. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk about, which was like so naturally we think like, so I think I'm on a scale or a, spectrum, like I'm still pretty far onto the competitive side, where I want my list to be as good as possible. I want to play as good as possible. And there's this natural desire that you want randomness to play less of a role, right? Where you want your skill to reflect more. And if we go back to like Richard Garfield had talked about, he's like, you want a degree of randomness that just like lessens the impact of skill, but doesn't like negate skill. You want to lower its impact so that having years of experience in a game doesn't mean that you will absolutely fucking destroy every single person every single time. And it's not interesting because it means that people don't play up skill levels, right? Mm-hmm. You would never play that game. Like if I came in, I'm like, I have no chance against a chess master because it's almost all skill. Yeah. Like there's one random element that is just who goes first. Yeah. And then past that, it is all skill, but it leans into memorization. Yeah. If I played against a chess grandmaster right now, they would probably beat me without ever making a decision. They would just be playing out what they have memorized about how a game would go. Yeah. Where they never are going to hit a point. I am not skilled enough at chess to get them to a point where they have to make real decision making. Yeah. And what I'm realizing is like, obviously, what I like about Shatterpoint so much is when we play shifting priorities, every time I'm down, I'm immediately making decisions. It is not immediately memorization. Turn one, I'm making decisions.
I think you and I are on the same page. When I'm playing a game, I want to be tested on my adaptability.
Yes.
And not my ability to
same thing. Decision making, adaptability,
So the more a game turns into I'm just regurgitating the things that I have learned, the less interested I am, because it feels like a test of just based like memory instead of a challenge of my ability to recognize what's going on. Because I like that more. That's why I don't like chess, really, because it's like so much of chess is just do this 100 times until you remember this exact set and then recognize it, versus games that are changed too often to be predictable, and then it's anything can happen Tuesday.
Right, and it also makes me wonder how many times if I play shifting priorities with the same team, when does it become memorization? Where there's only so many different decisions that I could make, because I'm like, okay, essentially I have the hold back, stay on my back objective. I have go double up on one objective. I have split the unit, go after two. I have like go after your back point. Yeah. Right. Like there still is a limited amount of decisions. And at what point does that shift from decision making to I have played enough of each of these situations that I am just going through my memory of which one is the right to do in this particular situation. But where why I think we get attracted to say something like Shatterpoint or AOS or MCP or War Machine is essentially that like one, the terrain layout can be very different, right? Like we could play the same matchup in Shatterpoint, but the terrain layout may totally change. We're like, yes, I may have played this 100 times, but well, this terrain affected my deployment, and which of these spots is more defensible? So the terrain constantly makes you check for new decision making to try to avoid it just shifting to that memorization step. And then also like what my opponent is playing and how did my opponent deploy, right? If I'm thinking about taking their back point, did they deploy where they like pincered the two, supports behind their secondary so I can't push their secondary off the point?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That happens in like Sabotage a lot, not necessarily shifting, but it's that kind of stuff that keeps it from shifting into that just memory.
Yeah. Like, because I think that the difference is memorization of a route versus basic pattern recognition, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I understand the concept of this and its like ability to work through that rather than just you made this move, there's one response, I make this move, here's one response. Like, not as fun.
Yeah, I think I guess a good question would be like, where is the defining line between just memorization and pattern recognition, right? And like, are they fundamentally the same thing in the games that we're playing? Like, is there really a difference, or is pattern recognition somewhere in the middle that's different from like the decision making.
Yeah, I think it's in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like, and depending on which game you're playing, it's closer to one end or the other.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
That's definitely like, obviously using chess as an example, their pattern, right? Like we've all heard the stories, right, of a chess master playing like 10 games at once and beating all of the different people. And that is definitely, you know, when you first hear about that, you think that they're like, oh, they're just literally outsmarting all of those people. And it's like, no, actually, the more that you learn is like, they have memorize and recognize the pattern. They're not remembering each game. They can just walk past the table, see the pieces, and they know the next move based on the pieces. They're not really making a new decision. And so that is somewhere in between just memorization and pattern recognition.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something that I started noticing back in War Machine. I don't remember if it came up in Star Wars minis, but there would definitely be situations where I'm like, oh, I've played this enough times that I've learned that this is a situation where I need to change my strategy a little bit. And you start picking up those things. But it's a real gray area where it's just like, am I making a new decision, or have I recognized that I need to use an old decision?
Yeah, well, that's why it's not a like checkbox. It's like a spectrum, because the chess is, you put the same pieces in the same spots. The spots don't move. There's no terrain. Versus the closer to the
You're saying we should play chess with terrain?
That's just that one game. What is it called? Like I don't remember. Anyway, there is chess with terrain, but like okay.
Well, what would you name chess with terrain right now? You said there's another game.
Well, I don't remember the name of the other game.
All right, so let's make up
chess
one.
Chess with terrain.
Yeah, what would chess with terrain be called?
I don't know. Like now, just something about a fortress. I don't know.
Okay, I put you on the spot. I wasn't sure if we were going to come. What?
Kingdom battles.
Kingdom battles.
But yeah, because they're like, you have a castle and they have a castle and you have knights and stuff. And anyway, they're well, you made me lose. No, okay. So like Spectrum.
Yeah.
Chess is like all the way. Their pattern recognition is almost all the way at memorization, but in a good minis game, I think that the pattern recognition is closer to adaptability because, like you said, terrain changes. That's the thing about chess. Your opponent has the same pieces as you always. And in minis games, everyone can have different pieces. And that's why I like AOS a lot, is because there's a lot of different factions and you're rarely seeing the same thing. And even if you're playing a mirror, it's almost never the exact same list. And so, like, there's very little, like, full-on pattern recognition of, like, to the degree of memorization. It's more like deja vu, where you're like, I've been here before. Things are different, but I've been in this scenario before. And I think that the ability to recognize the same scenario despite all the pieces being different is why it's closer to adaptability than memorization.
Yeah, and like it comes back to, like, we keep mentioning the order deck, and I think order deck is a thing that turns people away, like on the surface level, where what I'm pretty sure the developers were trying to create there is that the order deck makes it so you don't have to have the dice be quite as random, but the order deck adds a degree of randomness that helps avoid it shifting into that memory slot and keeps it in that adaptability decision-making spot, which is what I noticed about it right away. I really appreciated how much it was immediately making me make interesting decisions, whereas other people look at it as, it was the same thing, like trying to make MTG players play War Machine back in the day. They're like, dice?
Yeah.
A dice determines whether or not I'm successful? That is so much randomness. And then they shuffle their deck and pull no lands. Yeah. Right? Like, you know, and they're like, I don't want randomness in my game. No, mulligan. But on the flip side, where I do think Shatterpoint is struggling right now is, say, you know, using something like Age of Sigmar as an example. I could play 10 games of Age of Sigmar and not play against the same model.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Whereas Shatterpoint, you very easily, if you play 4, 5, 10 games, you are almost certainly playing against very similar stuff multiple times. And because, I mean, it's a younger game, right? And so I'm not like trying to give Shatterpoint a hard time about that, but that is one of the ways that I think it struggles a little to because I do think people get bored when you get into the memorization point. And that's where people want to shift away from the game, play something different. They want, like, I think fundamentally we want to stay in that decision-making realm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always talked about how, like, players will game the fun out of a system. Right. Like this is absolutely a thing that I've done where we will, like, I want to learn so much about a game that eventually I've learned so much about it and I understand it so well that I actually take the fun out of it. And I'm not saying that that's happened with Shatterpoint, but that is the line that we're essentially trying to avoid. And I think game developers are trying to avoid letting you, the end user, game the fun out of the system. And how some of these mechanics where you're like, I don't like this degree of randomness, and like, I don't love the priority roll, but does the priority roll actually maintain, like, does it end up helping to a degree where it keeps us in the decision making? So, like, again, I try to have morals of the story. You know, I'm you know, am I the Mr. Rogers of wargaming podcasts? But the point is like, when you go to complain about randomness, is it because something is random, like totally unnecessarily, that is not beneficial to the gameplay experience? Or does it help keep you in the decision-making part of the spectrum, which is fundamentally what I think a lot of us want?
Yeah. Well, I think that's why I know you do not care for it, and a lot of people don't care for it, but Warhammer constantly changing the rules can help with, because like the rules change like every few months, and so it's like, you don't like what's going on now, take a few months off and it'll completely change. You really don't like what your faction's doing, it'll be different in 6 months, it'll be different in 9 months. You don't like this edition, take a couple of years off, come back. Like AOS has a general's handbook that's only good for a year, and then the rules change again. And then the edition changes every 4 years. So like they overhaul the entire game. And so it's really difficult to fully game the fun out of it because it's evolving at a really rapid rate. And you can't ever totally settle into anything, which is good and bad, because I've had frustration with it where I'm like, I finally figured it out. And then it's like, and it's different now. But the thing that I do like about that is that it forces only adaptability, because you can't memorize something that changes every 3 months. It's impossible. So like it does feel a lot more decision heavy, because like you can do pattern recognition. You can like, okay, I know the rhythm of this. I know what archetype of things this is, but I don't. The data sheet changed. The abilities changed. Their abilities changed. The rules about terrain changed. Like nothing is concrete enough that you can chess it out and be like, I know what's going to happen here. And so I like that quite a bit. I don't think every game needs to change that rapidly. I do like a little more solid footing in other games, but like that's one of the things I enjoy about other games that do run like short rule sets, basically.
Well, and Magic the Gathering addresses it, or at least did address it, with like the standard format, where like, oh, your main format isn't, like, it shifts. Like it's constantly evolving, where there's things leaving it and things coming into it. Yeah. And that's not something that we necessarily want in a miniatures game, but it is a way of addressing that sort of situation. And obviously, as you say, look at another AMG game, MCP, right? Like they're now adjusting so in Shatterpoint, it's the missions. In MCP, it's the crisis cards. And they're making a genuine shift to which crisis cards are legal each year. So you're not losing any models, but there's sort of a rotation and like an influx. It's almost kind of like MTG standard, but for the missions.
That's fun.
And so, and so I think, again, that is to push things away from the memory, keep things in the decision making. Yeah. And, they're now doing kind of like a gradual wave of errata. Shatterpoint is, I believe they've said that there's an errata coming. And so we get that to try to like, refresh. And this is why everybody's so excited when a new errata hits or a new bunch of models, is because you re-enter that decision-making window. And like, if I go back to like my War Machine days, I definitely shifted way into the memory side of things. The meta didn't really shift that much. I was playing the same thing over and over and over again. And I think that's in big part why when I tried MCP for the first time, I was like, holy fuck, this is fun. And it was because I felt like I was making decisions again, but I don't think I understood that. And this is where like I feel like I'm maybe growing a little bit in my old age, you know, and recognizing that like, hey, some of this randomness really has to be here to keep me in the part of the game that I enjoy. You remove too much randomness, then you shift into this is just memorizing, which is where I do get bored eventually, where I'm like, oh, I'm just executing the same thing over again.
Yeah. I also think like that the game changing and like very much changing for AOS every few years is actually really great for getting new people into it, because there's this huge intimidation factor hopping into an older game where it's like everyone knows more than me. Everyone has years of experience doing this and I don't have any. But if the rules are thrown out the window and redone every 4 years, it's like, oh, I may not be on totally equal footing, but you and I both have to learn this new rule set at the same time. And that I think is really nice, is in you're not feeling so behind. And it was funny for me because I joined AOS at the start of this edition, so like 3 years ago. And it was very funny because I am like you in that if I'm going to try something, I try it like hardcore. So I like
fucking all in.
Yeah, fucking all in. And so I read the rule book before the demo, and he was
let Slanesh take the wheel.
I'm really more of a Zinch person.
I don't even know that I just remembered the name.
Oh, everyone assumes Slanesh because Slanesh is like pink and purple and
okay.
But it's Zinch all the way. Unless I'm mad, then it's corn. But so like I read the whole rule set before the game, and he was explaining to me, he's like, and then you do this, and I was like, actually no. Like, he was like, oh right, because the rules change and I have to relearn them. Yeah. And so I think that I like that part. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think that if you're leaning into I don't want things to be static, or just I like having to make new changes all the time, it's great. The other thing, I know people at the store do it. There's a small group of them who hate the new edition of 40K, so they only play an old edition of it together. And so like there's nothing stopping you from doing that. You can just stop whenever and be like, I'm done. Right? So I love that for them. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not well, so if we go back, like me, War Machine me, I hated the idea of like the game drastically changing every year. Because you can feel like your effort and stuff is erased or removed. And I've also know that the way that my brain works, I have a hard time unlearning stuff. Right? And so I almost have to like take a break from stuff to a certain extent. Where like say in MCP when Storm changed, I really had to like stop playing her for a bit, because I'm like, I am so used to how she played before that like I think I'm really going to struggle. I almost need to let my brain forget a little bit of how she played before I go back. Now, I'm not sure any of the Shatterpoint changes have been extreme enough that that's been a big deal. You know, yeah, I feel like I came to the Shatterpoint errata a bit easier, but now me, who knows that I like a degree of change and a degree of like new excitement about stuff, I think the idea of a yearly change doesn't turn me off as maybe it would have, you know, as much like 10 or 15 years ago. And, you know, I've had people ask me, you're buying into AOS where like they're starting to talk about 5th edition. And I'm like, this is actually really kind of a perfect timing for me, because I can dip my toes in now and like get a feel for things. And then I probably have an idea if I want to add it into the content rotation for that 9 to 12 month window or whatever when 5th edition coming out. And I would be like, all right, well now I'm going to do Omnis Protocol videos on this as well. And I would have some time period to like ease into it. And then I could go kind of deeper with a big change. And so like, I know a lot of people would be like, why would you get into a game like right on the cusp of it basically potentially completely changing? And I'm like, actually, this is fine for my timeline. This is... Yeah.
Well, and it's like, since it changes all the time, there is no real, like, like, what do you know,
Yeah.
the wrong time to get into it. I guess there's wrong times to get into certain factions if they're about to be legends,
Yes.
but like LRL's not in that boat. But like, I really, I think that the super high end players I've talked to who play Warhammer and like their opinion on it changing all the time, I think is closer to like, I get to be on my toes about things, and it doesn't stagnate to the point that I'm playing the same game over and over again, because they are crazy smart and like remember data sheets and remember other factions data sheets or just everything, and so like for them it changing all the time is a fun layer of challenge and keeps the wheels turning, keeps the interest going. And instead of being like, well, because what I have heard is like, okay, well, none of the rules have changed in a while. I don't even want to play this game with you because we've already played it.
Yes.
Versus if the rules keep changing, it's like we played each other last week. My army rule is different. So this game is totally separate now. And so like, I like that because it's like, games where the models never ever change can feel like, well, I did it.
Well, and I think you make a really good point there that I hadn't even thought about. Like, if you're listening to this and you're kind of like struggling to get what we're saying, you could look at it as like, if you show up to the game store and like, I'm there and you're there and we're the only Shatterpoint people and we're going to play a game of Shatterpoint, and we've set up the terrain and we both have brought like one strike team, we play it, and then you're like, well, do we want to play another game? And you're like, do you want to then immediately play the same game on the same table with the same mission? You probably don't, right? You almost always in that sort of situation, what would I do? I would change up the terrain. We would switch. We would play a different mission, right? We want to intentionally change up that experience. And so like, that's what I really like coming back to with all of this is, if you're looking at something and you're going, I don't like the randomness of this, like ask, does that change? Does that whether we're talking about errata, whether we're talking about priority rolls, order deck, or whatever the degree of change that we're talking about, does it get you to more interesting decision making and having fun? And to a certain degree, like, if you're just 100% competitive, you would play chess. And whatever you're playing, you push towards chess, where you want less randomness and you want your skill to matter more. But most people, they will get to a point with that and then just stop playing. If they feel like they solved it, and they're like, I've solved this and I really can't do better, you probably stop playing and you move on to something else.
Yeah.
And then eventually complain about the randomness in that game.
Hey, like, that's what we live for. So, like, there's endless, like, from a content creator perspective, endless stuff to talk about with the game changes, because it's like, they give him 4 attacks instead of 6 and raise it by 10 points. This is a riot. We're going to burn down the entire city of Nottingham. Like, there's just,
That's where the 40K like main office is.
GW
is Nottingham.
I'm pretty sure GW is in Nottingham.
Yeah, I'm trying to show you that I've learned a couple of GW factoids.
Yes, and when we,
as a baby 40Ker,
when we
not even a 40K, baby Warhammer.
Yes, when you want to be mad at GW, who you actually curse is Mr.
Henry Cavill,
James Workshop.
James Workshop.
He's to blame for everything.
Okay. Fuck you, James.
I'm coming for you. It's on site. James.
See, I think his name should be George Workshop, because then it would be GW instead of JW. Because it's... I see it. It's just James... She did not... You see the look on her face? She really did not like that joke. Like, she was like, no, that was...
What? There's just been years of cursing James. I'm like, well, have I been talking to the wrong guy? Am I blaming... Or I should have blamed George this whole time. No, it's James Workshop or...
James, but it's a G.
James, yeah.
And we're having the GIF conversation?
No, we're not having that conversation. Nope, I don't need to know anyone's opinion on that, because there's a correct one and an incorrect one. And you're not wrong
about that.
Based on your answer to that.
Oh man. Yeah, this is just something that's been on my mind, and as I've approached this stuff and just realizing, like, just how I'm growing as a gamer and like recognizing what I want and like how often are we making decisions about our game and about our team and like what characters we're playing and that sort of thing that actually like lean towards the sort of experience that we want. Because if you like listen to this and you're going, well, I don't want pure memorization, but like, are you making decisions that lead you towards more memorization, or are you making decisions that lead you towards more decision making? And so that's something I'm trying to be more cognizant of and be better about, and also factor all that in when I'm like on this journey of like wanting to try a bunch of stuff so I can talk about everything to a certain degree.
Yes.
And like what's good about certain mechanics and, you know, and all that sort of stuff. Then, open mind. I'm trying to have open mind.
Yeah. No matter what conclusion you come to.
Not a droid mind that's programmed and locked and unadaptable, but like a human mind that's willing to accept new information.
Would you say that to R2-D2's face? Would you look him in his little...
Okay, well, which part is his face?
The little eye. He turns his head to look at you. You don't think he has
I agree that he has a head.
He has a little eyeball, which I would... Like his little vision thingy. That's his...
Where that little... But that's like a projector. Does he like...
He has to have some sort of vision sensor. He knows where he's going.
Is it vision? I mean, or is he just sensors? Like, is he like scanning?
That would count as vision sensors. Yeah. Vision is a sense, so whatever he's using, that's his vision.
Could he project it in every direction? I don't know.
He turns his head way too often to not have a directional sense.
Is he doing that just to make the humans feel more comfortable? Like he has a face.
If he is, then that exhibits a degree of empathy that I don't think you're affording him right now.
I mean, R2 is... okay, this is a totally weird derailment because you've told me that C-3PO is like trying to be too human to be like a good. I forget. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm like, at a certain extent, like, is R2 kind of the most human of the droids, where he like you could tell that there's frustration, you can tell that he's doing things to make the humans more comfortable. Like, as he,
I don't know that. I don't think my beef with C-3PO is that he's trying to be human. I think I have different beef with C-3PO. I do like... I have a hierarchy of, you know, droids and robots that I like. And I do like more autonomy. And I feel like that's the dichotomy between R2-D2 and C-3PO. R2-D2 has a ton of autonomy. That fucker does what he wants to do.
Yes.
Versus
independence.
He has a ton of independence versus C-3PO, who is like, I have been told to do this one thing and we're doing this one thing, and if we're not doing this one thing, I'm going to freak out. I'm going to complain about it the entire time. This is not what I've been told to do. Don't love that. Rigidity.
Nobody loves that.
Nobody loves that. He's not fun to be around. So like, but that's also why we like K2SO. Like he's technically very...
Alan Tudyk is my goddamn spirit animal. God, like, I love that guy.
The inflexibility but also autonomy of him is what makes him fun. And versus like, because he has judgment about things, and these are supposed to be a certain way, but
and his programming has led him to be rarely reserved, where he can't hold back his thoughts. He can't
hold back anything.
Is he our mascot now? We have not pucked him.
No.
Like K2SO like might be our... Holy crap.
If we could pick a Star Wars character to have on as a guest, it would be him.
Oh my god, he would be such a good guest.
He would be the best guest. He would have so much, like, so many good takes.
Oh my god.
And I would just be thrilled the whole time. Anything he could possibly
So now
say.
I'm imagining, like, what if this is, like, obviously not really possible, but, like, what if we convinced Alan Tudyk to be on as a guest, but he did it all in character as K2SO responding to us the whole time?
Yeah, he just video chats in. It's just like a VTuber, but it's K2SO.
Oh, that would be like...
someone explain to me what a VTuber was the other day.
I had to have someone explain to me what a VTuber was, like, in the last couple of weeks.
I'm not on Twitch or anything, so I didn't know what it was. And I was like, what?
Oh yeah, it was. I was doing a demo for Chris, and I think he said VTuber, and I was like, what's the difference?
One of our new hires was like watching a video. I was like, why is there an anime girl in the corner? And he's like, oh, she's a VTuber. And I was like, that's not a word. That's not a word. Those aren't words. YouTube is a word. What's a V? Are you? What's going on? Now I know.
Definitely, I'm happy that to a certain extent. There's been a ton of times where I'm like talking to younger people, like my nephews, and like, you say podcast and they assume YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's finally like, yes, no, that's all there. Yes, everything that you were expecting is there, but not a VTuber.
Not a VTuber. I don't think I could ever do it, but I'm also narcissistic enough to like my
Dude,
face.
you would Gonky Tonk as your.
Shit, you're so right.
You would
I could be Gonky
You
Tonk.
could have Gonky Tonk as your like. I could imagine you doing like intro to AOS, intro to Shatterpoint sort of videos, and you just have like Gonk bouncing in the corner as you talk.
One of these days, though, I should actually wear my cowboy hat.
Yes, you should.
No one, like, one time I showed up to the game store wearing my, like, full, like, riding gear. Not my spurs, but everything else. And I think if I hadn't had my pink hair down, no one would have clocked me.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm wearing, like, button down jeans. I didn't have my chaps on because that was a bridge too far. But cowboy hat.
There's a chap for that.
Don't you dare.
All right. Well, this has been a fun episode. I'm glad we did this, and I'll get to drop it before. I'm actually probably going to edit it just right after this and get it ready to go and drop it. Yeah. Any final thoughts for me, like flying out for Adepticon? If there's a Qui-Gon, bring you a Qui-Gon?
Yes, that for sure. If there's anything, I should just give you like cash or something so that you can buy cool stuff if you see it for me. Like if there's cool, droid stuff or something, or cool Flesh Eater Quartz stuff or whatever. I bet they'll have interesting dice there. Yeah.
I'm hoping to come back with the black Shatterpoint dice. That's like the one I'm not playing a ton of games, and so I'm gonna have to figure out. I'm doing the multiplayer Shatterpoint thing, but I'm gonna have to figure out like what do I have to do, like what, because I haven't done it since they added the prize wall. Like they added the prize wall like the year that I went for a couple of years, then they added the prize wall in the couple of years that I haven't gone. But I'm like, I would definitely, I think it's going to be in the GTs too, so it's not a huge deal, but I'd love to like get at least a few of them, so it's easier for me to get to that like 10 to 14 black dice.
Yeah. Gosh, I am jealous of that. Those look so cool.
Yeah. I definitely like a lot of my War Machine career. I almost always used black and white Privateer Press dice was the dice that I used. But
dice, baby.
Dice, baby. All right. Well, I think we should wrap things up there. Why don't you take the honors of closing out the rarely reserving us out of here?
What?
You can close it out however you want, because we didn't really have like a hard puck, but
yeah.
Well, say the words rarely reserved with some other words.
Oh, okay.
And
all right. However you feel about randomness or adaptability or memorization in games, or gonks, you're correct, because you have to make that determination for you, and I believe in you and your ability to be rarely reserved about your truth. So
no, there are wrong answers. Not all of them are correct. Later, nerds.
Signal lost.